How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. Welcome back to learning GameMaker Studio 2, and I'm so excited because I finally got this set up to the way I want it, and I've kind of got the idea down. Let me just restart it with F5 here. Boom. So we're in a battle here, and we've got our enemy, we got our player, we got our HP, our MP, our TP, and we've got our attack button. And it works, and if we highlight attack and we left click, then we're going to attack them. They're going to hit us back. Both of us should lose HP. Boom. Did they lose HP at all? Okay, I guess because there is some random amount. There's some RNG, so maybe that RNG was a 1 or a 0. You know, because it could be up to, I think, a 9 depending on the stats. But whatever. It works. So we click attack and we can attack. And they lose damage, but I figured this part out right here. So this is another thing where if we have it toggled on, it's not a skill in its own. It's like a toggle. So if we have this on, the only way to execute the turn is to do an attack or another skill ability that I'm going to create later. But your attacks and your skills will have booster abilities, which will be these smaller circles. You got these 128 by 128s, and you got 64 by 64s in this resolution here, 1280 by 720 standard HD. But what the thing is, it's cool because see, if this is highlighted, now it's saying when I click my attack, every time I attack, this is going to, I'll just show you, boom, take 1 MP and throw some animations and particle effects towards the player. It's all flash, and there's going to be more of that and sound effects to come. It's just the mechanics is what I'm talking about right now. But basically, it's going to take away 1 MP and add 5 HP every time you attack. So it's a beneficial thing to use for the player, and it's a skill you're going to want to have. And how I'm going to make the skill system right off the bat, and then we won the fight, and we can restart with F5. Right off the bat, you're going to have just attack, and you'll have to do a certain number of fights, 3 to 5 or whatever, to get you to level 2. Level 2, you'll get this healing ability, and you'll also get, by that point, you'll have options of what you're going to fight, this creature or the harder creatures. And then as you get to a higher level, you're going to have more creatures that you can fight, and then possibly a world map. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I know I'm going to have some walk around type of, you know, it's not going to, this is the hardest part of the whole game, the RPG, is this battle system, right? So I started with that. Like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like, there's some saying that's like, do the hard work first, and then everything else will be easy to do. I'm sure that's not going to be the case, but I did want to start with the hardest thing. So I'm getting this set up, but anyway, let's tackle this code real quick. So I gave you a good look at basically what it's doing, so you can know off the bat if it's something you want to do. Basically, we've got our player who's set up to just this stuff doesn't even matter. Matter of fact, you don't need any of this. I'm not even going to stress. None of this is necessary at this point. Do you need any of that? Nope. You do need the health bars. If you want to draw the health bars, then this is the code for that. Let me zoom in on that. You draw yourself because if you're going to add a draw events to an object, you have to include draw self or it won't show itself, even if it's checked as visible. Draw health bar, simple, easy. This is all one giant line. Middle mouse click it if you need more help on draw health bar. I've covered it several times, so I'm not going to get too hung up on it. There's the code if you need it. You also would have to declare these variables right on your Object Battle Manager. So let's jump over to the Object Battle Manager. Let me get this back to size. Boom, boom, because this is what's handling the main chunk of the code. Basically, the Object Battle Manager is persistent object. The same thing as the Data Manager, the Audio Manager, and the Particle Systems. They are persistent object. They start on the first map, so they're invisible. They're just going to control variables and handle, game flow. So the Battle Manager, when it's created, we just need to initialize some variables. We're going to say is player's turn to true, display actions false, action selected is false, declare target false, target acquired false. Don't actually need every one of these, but put them in there and just use them as you need them. In I don't know, just I kind of put some also. I actually kind of put these in here for the video, like I know what this stuff's for, but I wanted to give some more help to people who are like looking at the code trying to figure out what am I doing, what is this for, what is that for. So I split some stuff up and I put more in like indentation and spacing and commented out comments so you can kind of see what's what. And I'm scrolling through that really quickly, but basically your game's going to be different than my game. You're going to put some basic booleans that you're going to use to toggle switches, and you want to put them at key points that they're going to always be true or false. It's like, has player gone? Or, you know, so is player's turn? Is enemy alive? It'll always be true or false, right? 0 or 1, and that's a good naming convention. Is a question, really, because it's this a piece of data that's flexible, right? It's a switch or a variable. It's flexible. It could be this, could be that. Naming them something like is this or is that is always a good naming convention. So as you can see, I've done that. So on the step phase, remember this is happening every frame of the game. So right here, we're limiting the parameters. So if any point we get some healing and it's going past our maximum, so we have 105 out of 100 maximum HP, our HP bars won't look all messed up and overdraw. I don't know if that's fixed with draw health bar, but if you're stretching X scale and Y scale, you do have to cap that stuff. And if you want to put your own sprites to make it look really good, which is what we're going to do eventually, you're going to have to cap that. So you're going to need some simple logic like this that's basically saying, oops, let me get this look a little bit better and zoom in a bit. So basically we're just saying if the hero's health is greater than the hero's maximum health, then the hero's health is the hero's maximum health. So if the hero's health is 104 out of our cap of 100, it'll only be 104 for this single frame, not enough for the human eye to even notice, and it'll immediately on the next frame jump to, once this code is ran, you know, it'll jump to setting your HP from 104 to 100. You might not even notice that it was ever 104. And same thing for your mana, same thing for your tech, same thing for any skill that has a cap or any, you know, any resource that has a cap. You just cap it, as simple as that. If this current is greater than the maximum, then the current is equal to the maximum. Boom, boom. And since we're only doing one thing, we don't even have to encapsulate with, you know, with the brackets around it. So you don't even need the brackets and spacing, and it just makes it simple. So this is checking every frame. So another thing, now here's the logic that starts the whole thing. Let's zoom out just a hair. Boom. So we're checking, is it the player's turn? Well, right off the bat, it is the player's turn. So as soon as you enter combat, it'll be the player's turn. So now we're setting another thing. We say, okay, well, the player's turn, display action's true. Could you have bypassed this whole thing and just said display action's true? Yes, but this also gives you more control. The more the more switches and different states the flow has to go through, the more spots that you can stop to control to time things and even add alarms and even add animations and add sound effects. And so trust me, I don't even have enough. It could be even more and more structured. This is bare bones. So excuse me. If it's the player's turn, this is shorthand, so this is basically saying equals true. If I can spell true, so it's the same thing. So if it is the player's turn, if is player turn equals true, or the way that it's most commonly written, is player turn, just like that. So if it is, then display actions equals true, and then we check another thing. Well, has target been acquired? So display actions is true. Why did we have to set display actions to true? Well, we needed something to toggle if we can see our buttons or not. So let's look at our attack right here. So on our crate, is it selected? No. So right off the bat, it won't show that. Display actions. I think I was going to put that for another check in there. So right here, but basically, display actions has to be set to true in order for the code to work, for it to trigger the next thing to highlight and everything. So basically, I've got some code on our button that says if left press, right? We're adding event mouse, left press, and we're saying if this attack button is left clicked, and if it's left clicked, then run the contents of this. But all of this is one if statement, so it has to be left clicked and display actions has to be true. See, now this has got its own variables, right? So we have to call the object of the variable that we're looking for. We're saying we need to check the display actions variable that's on this object. So if this Boolean value variable is set to true, that's stored on this. Wait, man, I messed up. If this Boolean value variable stored on this object is true when we left click on this, then it's going to submit another thing. It's going to make a change. It's going to set the skill number to 1. because this is I'm going to make it so that the general game design for the skills is it's going to be a series of buttons, so no menus. Well, there'll be some menus, but I don't want it to be the old Final Fantasy style. I want it to be towards the new kind of Final Fantasy style, and more just the new mobile kind of style where there's more buttons and graphical interfaces and less like text boxes. So I'm going to go with that kind of style just to make for this demo. So all your skills are going to be buttons with graphical things. Maybe they'll be animated. Most likely they're not going to be animated, but there will be particle effects to highlight them, and they will have their own custom things and whatnot. So that's the idea. So that's why I decided that this needed to have a skill number. So this needs to be given a skill number, so I can reference this same code again, but give it a different formula based on what code I'm returning, right? What skill number is the index of the formula that it's going to fetch for when it's going to deal the damage. So not, your attack and your fireball don't deal the same damage and depend on the same other variables. Okay, moving on. So that's why that's there, one line. So now we're going to control the logic to see if it's selected or not. So if it's left clicked and display actions are set to true, we're submitting that number that we've selected 1 back to Battle Manager. That immediately doesn't do anything, but it will shortly after, once a target has been declared. So if is not selected, so this is the same thing as saying is equals false, right? So like that. So this is the same thing as saying if selected equals false. You can shorthand that just by doing an exclamation mark. It's the same thing. So if this is checking if it's true, then go. And this is saying, this is saying if it's true, then go. And this is saying if it's false, then go. Right? True, false, then go. So we're saying if selected is false, then set selected to true because we've clicked it. So we want to toggle that. We also want to toggle another thing, another variable that's going to come up back in the Battle Manager. We need to set action selected that's in the Battle Manager object to true. So we're controlling we could say with Battle Manager action selected to true, but since it's just going to be on one line, we don't even have to do a with. We can just directly say this object, this variable Boolean value, set it to true. Otherwise, so it's going to do one of these two things when you left click on it if display actions is on. So if it's not selected, it's going to be selected. It's going to select selected to true and select action selected to true. But if it is already selected, then it's going to turn off the selection and it's going to say Battle Manager action selected false. We've turned off our selection. So it's just a toggle, but this also lets us toggle one more thing. Let's bounce back to the step. So this is checking every frame, right? So this is just seeing if this has been selected. This is what's going to control if it's fully opacity. Is it kind of invisible? Does it have particle effects behind it? So this is going to say if selected is true, image underscore alpha equals 1. So fully show it if it's, don't make it see-through at all if it's selected. And then we're going to say p underscore item pickup xy. This is basically calling a particle effect. So if I look at p underscore item pickup, it's just shorthand for particles create. Where's it at? Where's it at? There it is. So I'm actually going to modify it right now. I want to change this to have an amount temporary variable. We're going to set that to argument 2. And I want to change, what do we set to, 6 here? I want to bump it up to 10 amount. But the thing is I can toggle. So now I just changed this script around. This script is basically just looking for 3, all it's doing is playing particles create. So type in particles create, middle mouse click it, you'll get all the information you need about it. But basically it also shows you in the bottom what it's looking for. You need a particle system setup that's got, I'll show you it super quickly if you're interested in that. We'll do a whole nother thing on particle system. But right now I've set up a particle system for top layer. You have to decide what instance layer the particles will be drawn on. And then you create the particles and assign different part type, notations, codes to each of these individual, and that declares them. But you also have to destroy them when the game ends. So you do add event, other game end, so that way you don't have any memory leaks. So you do part underscore system destroy for that, for the 2 systems you created at the top, or if you have as many as you want, and then you do part type destroy for all of the parts, so you have to destroy them if you create them. But that's basically it right there. You can also use several tools to create particles and then copy paste that into it'll give you the GML code, so you can bring that in. I've got other videos on that as well. Just look at my other GML videos. Anyway, moving on, I've changed a number 6 to a variable amount, so I've changed my what is it, a script. I'm going to say plugin, it's sort of the same thing. But now we have to include an amount. So I had it set so that would essentially do exactly the same thing, but now I don't have to edit my script. You can keep the same script and call it using different amounts. And I think that's a pretty smart way to do. So let's go ahead and go with double it. We're going to say 12. Actually, 9. We'll add 50%. So it's already kind of lit up really bright when we selected it. But anyway, basically right here we're setting it, throwing that script. Otherwise, set the alpha to 0.5. That's going to make it halfway invisible. And then this is right here saying if mouse underscore check underscore button, mouse button left, and place meeting underscore x. This is a whole other thing. It's not even relevant to what I'm doing at this point. I don't think that even matters. So you don't even need. So for when place meeting. Is that how I had it highlighted to check for? Oh no, because I have that right here. Yeah, so you can ignore this for right now. The mouse button check. I forgot what I was doing with that. It's something with the mouse box to detect collisions on something else. But anyway, moving on, we go back to the battle manager. I'm sorry, this is taking. It's a whole lot of stuff, and we can put it all in one video because I'll update this and add more, but maybe you just want to watch this one and build it from there on your own. So let's continue on and finish it up real quick. So the system that, where were we at in this, because we had to bounce back. We did all that. We've acquired a target, right? So from this left click, the thing that we have to do now is a target, get a target acquired. So we're still not even back to the battle manager. Now we're looking at our enemies, which right now we only have one in this project. So I have an enemy blob right here. So enemy, we set up the variables for the enemy, but not all of his stats. Now, I'm handling that. You can do it multiple ways. You can put them all here and reference them from the other, and you can use with O underscore blob, however you want to do it. I'm putting his HP, his MP, and his TP on and his experience and the coins, the gold that you'll get for killing it, on the creature itself. But I'm handling all of the parameters for the blob on the battle manager itself. You'll see when I do alarm 0. Is it alarm 0? Yeah, it's right here. That this is for blob 1. So we're saying if target equals 1, then send all of these stats right here. So his strength, his dex, vitality, all that is attack, so forth, so on. And what I would do is I would copy and paste basically this whole bit and paste it and say if target equals 2, and then for the next enemy I make, I'll put all the stats for that, and then I'll change with blob to the next enemy. And I can even do a parent object that can be a placeholder for some, but that's going to be, I don't know if I'll need to. Whatever. We're getting off track. Basically, I'm doing that to handle the enemy stats. You know, but not all of them. Just the ones that are, where's it at? Here he is. Just the ones that are not related to, like, why did I pick HP, MP, and TP? Because I have to draw the bars on the blob. So it made it easier to reference the HP and MP. If I put it on the other one, I would have to do O underscore battle manager dot manager dot HP, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you'd have to do all of that, and that's just how I did it. You can do it your own way. But anyway, just like I don't actually have to show you the draw on everybody on all of these, because it's essentially the same thing. HP over max HP divided or times 100, because it's got to be. This is going to give you 0 to 1, and you need to reference a number between 0 to 100 because we're using a built-in draw health bar. Now you can just draw sprites and change the X scale and the Y scale and stretch them to do health bars, which we're going to do later. But anyway. So yeah, here's the code that I needed to get to. So on the blob, your enemy, you have some left release code. So when the left can do any left click, left release. I use left release because it's like your confirmation. If you left click and drag off, sometimes you misclick by accident and you drag off by, you know what I mean, like a little thing that you do. So this is like a quality of life thing. So when you left release, you have to do the release, or you could do left press, so it has to be down and up. I don't know. It's up to whatever you want to do. Basically, this is going to say when we left click, if action selected is true. So if we left click on this before we click on attack, then that does nothing, right? Because we didn't meet the conditions of this one, so it won't run that code. But if we left click on it after we've already selected attack or another skill, not the healing one though, because that doesn't send a skill number. I don't think it does. Maybe it does. I'll figure that out later. But we're going to say, now we're going to control the battle manager, and we're going to say target is 1, because we are controlling the skill number right here, right? But we also need to control O_BattleManager.target. But why did I not have to type O_BattleManager right here to reference? Because I'm saying with it. So I'm going to say I want to do 2 things with the Battle Manager. So I don't want to type this out twice. So I'm going to say with this object, do these 2 things. So on this object, make the variable of the current target to 1, set the alarm for 1/3 of a second. So now it jumps back to the Battle Manager, and it runs alarm 2 or alarm 0. So it's going to say if target is 1, because that's only target there. But now it does all that right there. So it initializes. It sets all the variables for the enemy, and then it has to. Let me see. I have to generate the damage right here. I might have to move where the damage is being calculated. Because right here, so it handles that back in here. So display actions is false, and then under attack dot selected is false. Some of this code needs to be pruned, but anyway, this right here needs to be changed. We need to switch O_blob.x to O. This whole line, this way, the way this is handled, it just needs to be changed a little bit. Just need to make a little function or something that switches which enemy is being in the battle, or which enemy. So we need to add more, right? We'll have to add a couple more of these, and we'll figure out what to call it and where to put it later on. So if you wanted to get an idea of where I'm at, that's sort of where I'm at. You can kind of see the code that I have laid out right here. I'm going to try to finish walking through and making remarks right here. This is another thing. This is for the healing code, the thing I just put in. So after we, this is where the damage is calculated, and then that happens. So we'll do the damage real quick. First, damage equals random_range. So this is going to say pick a random number between 1 and 10, and then add hero 1 attack times 2 plus the hero strength minus the target's defense. So take that number and store that into the variable of damage that we've set right there. And then we're going to check another thing. If the healing skill is on and hero 1 mana is greater than 1. So hero 1, it basically is just the hero, the actor, because I'm thinking later of adding more heroes. Otherwise I would have just called these max health, max mana, and so forth and so on. But right now we're dealing with one character. So if the player has 1 mana and the healing skill is on, then play an animation, create an object at this location and on this layer, put this heal particle, and then decrement hero's mana by 1. Take 1, So they got to have at least 1, and then it takes 1 in order for that to work. So how does healing skill on get turned on? Well, that red bubble, that healing bubble, is basically what toggles it on. So how you make a little button like that is just basically make the art for it, whatever size you want, put it on the screen. You could specify, it doesn't matter where you put it on the screen, because I'm specifying the X and the Y right there. So you can specify where you want it to appear with just setting its X and Y. It doesn't matter if you can't line it up perfectly and you can't see it on the map. You don't even have to look at it on the map. You just have to drag drop it somewhere and then set its X and Y, or control its X and Y somehow. So we can say we're creating a variable, selected as false, and then X equals your other button's X location plus 96. So find the same X location and just add the attacks as is 128 by 1, or is 128 by 128. So it's got 64 on one side if the center is middle, which it is, and we also have 32 if the center is on the one side. So I have to add 96 to space them out, right? So that's why. And then Y equals the attack buttons Y, because we want them to be leveled out. Or you can add or subtract. If you wanted to move it down, all you'd have to do is add a little bit to it. You can say plus 16, and now the button will go down a little bit. Adding Y goes down, subtracting from Y goes up. Image speed equals 0, so it's not animating at all because it's turned off by default. It's selected as false. Alpha, it's halfway invisible. X scale is full. It's the same size, full size, and then its Y scale is set to its X scale. We're not going to mess with that. You can actually just remove that code. You don't need it. Also, this code, not good. Don't put image blend because it makes, well, you can do that code if you have a really bright picture, if it's got white in it. I don't know. It just makes some things invisible sometimes because the blend mode is, I'm set it to a random one, so whatever. That was just some flair. I'm always messing with codes, so I find something in the help file and I'll copy paste it and then I'll move it, and I'm just curious of what it's going to look like, what's going to happen, is it going to crash. I think that's kind of fun. So the step frame, the step event, it happens every frame of the game. If it's selected, you made it kind of familiar with what's happening right here now. I'm using the same logic right here. It's just basically a switch. If on off, it's just using a variable, a switch variable to do it. So if it's selected, set the alpha to 1, set the speed to 1, fully animated at full speed, and show it with no invisibility, no full opaqueness, or full opacity, or no opacity. Otherwise, if it's not selected, then it's 50% see-through and it's not animating at all. Simple, easy. We could even put an animation effect to that. In fact, let's do that right now. So let's try. I'm sure we're going to have to modify some of these. I'm positive I'll have to modify some of these. Let's just go with left click. Let's do purple graph P underscore purple. I could make one, but it takes more time. It's already gone too long, so I'm just going to use one I've already made, and then we can modify it if we need to. X, Y, and do I have an amount on purple gravity? Have I set amount yet? No, but we're going to. So var amount equals argument 2, and then over here where I've got the third argument set up, it's argument 2, but it's the third one. Set of 12, I'm going to say amount. Boom. And then wherever I call purple gravity, now will crash because I'm only referencing 2 arguments. And so I'm going to crash maybe, but I'll find out quickly where it's referencing it. Like right here would crash, obviously. But there's other places where maybe I'm using this, and if I'm not including a third thing now, which I'll just put 12, it would just crash. So yeah. Now, if it is selected, full speed, full animation, not see-through, and keep playing a particle effect behind it. Also, I need to check purple gravity. Are you on top or bottom particle layer? You're on particle system 2, so I can check my particle systems real quick and see what layer that's drawing to. Particle system 2 is drawing to bottom particle layer, which is good because I want it to be behind the actual button itself. So that's perfect. It's perfect. Now let's see where it's going to crash and how it looks if it doesn't. Oh, that looks so cool. I love it. Look at that. And I could change the colors just by editing the code, but now you can see the difference from the beginning to that. So if we left click on it, nothing happens, nothing happens. If we have that highlighted, we left click around, nothing happens, nothing happens. If we left click attack without that on, then we attack and then we get attacked. But if we have our healing skill on and we click attack and then boom, now we attack, we get attacked, but this sends a healing thing that shows, creates an object that sends it towards the player. I need to show you that code real quick, and then I think that'll be it for the whole system. And we can repeat that process. We would lose this fight without the heal skill at this point. Boom. So starting off, you would fight easy. So we won the fight. There we go. We got saw our mana was going down. I'm also going to do XP bars, and I'm thinking about later on doing ATB. But whoa, the ATB, man, it could go way out of hand. I'm still going to try to do this switch-based turn system before I do anything ATB. But I'm getting more ideas about how I might handle some of the things I might. Anyway, oh yes, the button, right? Let's see. It's just the instance create. Where do I have my instance create? Oh, okay. It's part. I must be creating the inside the battle manager. Yes, it's okay. And the healing skill, right? So I already looked at that, but I didn't do the talk about the instance create. So instance create layer from GameMaker Studio 1.4 is they took out instance create and made instance create depth instance create layer. Just use instance create layer because layers you can specify your depths here. But do whatever you want. You can use sometimes you want the other one. Whatever. Instance create layer. You just need to put a location, X and Y location, what layer. So you have to pick the X location, the Y location, the layer, the depth, right? So you have to name that verbatim. So double quotes, instance layer, caps sensitive, and all that, comma, and then the object that you want to create. So heal particle. Let's look at the heal particle, and then we're done. So heal particle. Let's see. I think this died out on me. Heal particle. I just drew. I made an animation. I don't know why I spent so long on it. You don't even notice it. I spent a long time making this animation. It's nothing fancy, whatever, and you don't even really notice it because the way I've set it up. If it's too big, it looks stupid. So I just like, all right, whatever. I'm still gonna use it, even though I didn't like it. Okay. I'll zoom it so it's super small, and then if you kind of give it a rotation and you give it random kind of properties, it actually looks good. So by itself, not a good animation, but when you put this little spin on it, it actually looked pretty neat. So this is what I did. I gave it a speed, I gave it a direction. Point direction, X, Y, and then the player's X and the player's Y, and then I had to add 16 because of spacing on it, and just so that it would make sure it hit the player, because I have a collision detection on this one. So image angle, random. So it starts off with a random angle from 0 to 360. It can be any angle. Same thing with the image scale, but it's not completely random. Random range between 0.3 and 0.5. Matter of fact, I can expand upon that because it can be a little bit bigger. Let's do 0.7, 0.75. So we'll do, yeah. And then this can go like 0.4. So it start off a little bit bigger. But the thing is, it's gonna vary anyway. So just starting it off, it's gonna pick these things. Then basically we have to do the collision checking. So if place meeting X underscore Y underscore player, then play this particle effect and destroy the object. But also it's going to be doing something else. We have to initialize the healing when it collides with the player. So basically you could use this, or you can do add event and collision the player. So I did it both ways here, but I'm actually going to consolidate it into one. So what I would do here is I would take this little bit, boom. So right in here, before it's destroyed, I'm going to say, yes, with the battle manager, play a wide aura on the player. That doesn't need, since I moved it, now I don't have to include that here. So what I'll do is take this code out, boom, and place this right here, and get rid of O underscore player dot, because we are, oh no, that needs to be there, but that didn't need to be with the battle manager on that. Okay. Sometimes you'll have the right answer, like in your code, and you're just wondering, why isn't it working? Try just moving it around, like on a different object, and sometimes you just accidentally stumble upon the answer. That's not what I'm doing here. I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm trying to set this up so that all these things happen at the same time, and it still works without needing this at all. So all I have to do is include the instance destroy, which is going to happen anyway. Boom, that happens like this. But I also need to indent this correctly, because that could be confusing. So this, like that. So I think that'll work fine. But I do need to test it now that I moved it around. So let's go ahead and, did I include the instance destroy? Create. Oh, it can't work. This can't work on the create. Cut this. This has got to be on the step. Because it, yeah. So boom, we don't need this here anymore. So we'll have less things on the you know, less things, less events to clutter it up. So that should work the same. Let me double test that. And I think that's basically it for where we're at. There'll be more on this series to come. There we go. So now that other particle effect is playing too with the stars. Boom. Excellent. Also, the next thing I'm going to put in is to multiple, so I don't have to click each time. I'm going to set this up so that you can set hotkeys, and you can just do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, when you level up, optional, like you let the player pick what skills they get and pick what stats get higher, and let the I need to make some sort of tutorial compendium. I have a lot of ideas for this project, but I mean, this was just a grand overview. Look where the project's at, ideas I have for the project, and lots of stuff that you can learn if you take little pieces of this and apply it to your project. So I went over lots of different stuff, and I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on the project. And I'm getting really excited with this RPG in GameMaker Studio 2. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you, all my Patreon backers. Love you guys. If you're interested in supporting me, Patreon links below. Come hang out on the Discord if you're just looking for some people to hang out with and chit-chat and talk about game development. Got lots of good programmers, lots of good coders there. There's we got good artists that hang out there, and you could post your artwork, and you could just share what you're working on and get ideas and bounce feedback to people. Discord's really a good place, and there's a lot of good servers, and you can come hang out in mine. I'd love to have you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy RPGs or GameMaker Studio 2. Or you like what I did in this project, or if I've helped you in any way, just some support, man. I need some support. The GameMaker Studio, since my project, my channel sort of is like took off from RPG Maker. The majority of my audience is RPG Maker, so going from one engine to another engine, I can understand could be a lot of stress on somebody, especially when they're just getting their hands and their ideas, you know, their head wrapped around the ideas of one engine. So jumping to another engine can be a hard process to do and understand, but you really need to branch out and try other engines. Even if you're big into GameMaker Studio, GameMaker Studio 2, you should definitely try other engines. Try out, I mean, you could do Unreal. I'm going to say Unity if you want to try anything 3D. Give Unity a shot. It's kind of hard, but you learn a little C# as you go along. Watch some tutorials. There's a lot of resources. There's a market with lots of stuff. Check GameMaker Studio 2 out if you haven't. If you haven't ever, if you like RPGs, let me start with that. If you like RPGs or classic RPG style looking games that you can do, horror games or adventure games or other thing, but with like that kind of style, you know, then try RPG Maker MV. It's a great engine. And I would say people who have never tried GameMaker Studio 2, try out the demo, watch a couple tutorials. It's not always easy, but check out the help file. It's super extensive. If you want to make the investment to get started, it's like $99, I think. I think it's $69 if you get a discount. Check it out. If it ever goes on Steam sale, I'll promote it or something, or like Humble Bundle or something, because you definitely want to pick this one up for sure. So many cool things you can do with it, and I'm looking at some netcode. And I can just see in a year in the future, if I keep my nose to the grindstone, that we could do some sort of MMO kind of game, and like running with GameMaker Studio 2. That's an actual game, you know. It could be a lot of fun, and maybe it won't even take a year, but because I whatever. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.